And for me to overcome those challenges, I think it's the background that I was from. I think during the apartheid days, all the scaffolds, in Soweto, I think helped me to what I became at the club. And the biggest achievement is not in the field of play, it was outside the field of play. Because I was lucky enough to be, that football introduced me to charity. I went to Leeds, which then it was the most racist city in the UK, but I've managed, to get involved in some of the projects in the community. One of the things was that there was a community, there was an area called Chapeltown, just outside, it was part of Leeds, but just between Leeds, and that it was just a street. And all the time when I was at the club after the games, they would tell me, no, you don't go via Chapeltown, it's very dangerous, but take the other route. But my question was, why? And I said, no, it's dangerous. And most of the people who lived there were black people. And I was black, but I wasn't allowed to go. And the other issue was that, why were not enough black people in the stands? And which is the same. Black people were threatened to come to the stadium because of the environment. But since I've come to that club, settled down there to become a Yorkshireman, and I got involved in different projects in the community. I had the opportunity to go to attend the conference to talk about South Africa, my experiences, to the community of Chapeltown. And as well, I had a project called Leading with Lucas, which is a program that was run by the club, at Leeds, which really got me involved, with the community. And since then, I look at life, in a different perspective where I can appreciate where I come from. And as well, not only use the football.
Brilliant, that's fantastic. So, tell me about what you're up to and sport driving change.
I think for me, it's quite simple that sport doesn't just open doors, it breaks down walls. And I saw that in my own career, especially after we won the gold medal in 2004. And I came back to South Africa, and it was the first night I was here. And in South Africa we've got car guards, and this black gentleman came up to me. And before that, I was completely unknown. And I'm a swimmer, it's not a big sport in South Africa. And this guy said, oh my goodness, this is Ray Nitlin, you won us the gold medal, we are so proud of you. And even today, it's 9 years later, and all South Africans are still proud of that moment. So it's quite simple, break down walls.
Ashwin.
Well, I first want to say, I don't know who's more starstruck, the people that are proud of me sitting amongst these legends. So if we can just give a big round of applause please for everyone here. I was kind of checking the age groups and I saw that, if I look at everyone else, I'm literally the youngest former professional player amongst all of these. So I think for me personally, in terms of what sport does, I look at it from this perspective. I think that as we grow up, there's an external locus of control. And that has always been the governing force in my life. But what sport has taught me was to create an internal locus of control, where as a result of what I've learned through sport, which is discipline, as to empower oneself, is to think differently about the challenges we face. And through doing that, I was able to turn the challenging situations completely around and go out and really strive in order to be better in terms of what I'm doing. For those of you that don't know, I grew up in a little town called Callaghan, where it's literally so small, you drive past and blink your eyes, you spread through the town. But the challenge for the town was that it was literally close to what was at the time the abalone capital of the world, which is Boston. And that is where all the abalone poaching happens, the greatest around the world. So as we found, it was fires coming in, so drugs was a major issue. So for me as a youngster growing up, where the only role models were really the the gangsters driving around in your streets, and they control the streets, so to speak. So I think sport in itself is I'm living proof of the fact that if you can utilize sport as a conduit to help people grow and believe in themselves and aspire to achieve great things. When I was inspired by the likes of Francois Pienaar, Chester Williams in '95, when Nelson Mandela walked on stage and wore the number 6 jersey, that inspiration helped me to aspire to something better in life. Because at that particular moment in time, when I grew up without a father, you find that at the age of 16, I tried to commit suicide. I was a drug addict, I was a drug dealer. My aunt came to me, looked me straight in the eye and said, Ashwin, if you don't change your life around, you will either end up in 2 ways, either dead or in prison. You make the choice. Well, I managed to take that, turn that around, and motivate myself to aspire to the same heights as to what Francois have set for us as youngsters coming through. South Africa, a very challenged environment, and as a result, 10 years after I finished school, I've retired as a professional rugby player. Not just have I gone to 2 senior World Cups, but I've also managed to win a Rugby World Cup. I managed to be a South African Rugby Player of the Year. That, ladies and gentlemen, is all through the opportunities that sport gives us as human beings. I think sport is fundamental in turning people's lives around.
Well, I look at sport in 2 ways. You talk about the positive social change it can make to the environment, and you also look at the social changes and the changes it can give individual youngsters, as I've been saying, because sports, regardless of what sport it is, and we do not different sports. You can look up here the same sport, but there are 40 different sports up here, and one thing that binds us together is not necessarily, if you look at what we've achieved or the talent that we have, is how we got there. And all of us will say, and I have to make a special mention to the swimmers, because of the dedication and discipline necessary to be a swimmer, particularly at a time it's great to be a footballer, because you earn lots of money and you got lots of prestige. Who wants to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go training every single day, when you probably have to have a job as well because you're not getting paid? So the dedication and discipline that is necessary to be a sportsman from the point of view of empowering youngsters, and Boris, regardless of whether it's an individual sport or team sport, it's the same thing. It fosters discipline, dedication, yes, talent, but the qualities necessary to show that talent is what youngsters need in everyday life, even from an educational point of view. So what I say to I've got 7 kids, and I know it's a lot. What I say to youngsters is, when you see, for example, and you look at swimmers, tennis players, and what we see is winning a gold medal, winning Wimbledon, winning the World Cup in rugby. We don't see the hard work that goes into it to enable them to do that. Because all these youngsters say, I want to win the World Cup, I want to be this, but the dedication necessary, the preparation to actually then go and win Wimbledon or win an Olympic gold is what sport gives you. That is the end product. So from the point of view, from an individual perspective, yes, that's what it can give you for all youngsters around the world, particularly disenfranchised and proud youngsters in Africa and in developing countries. And from the social change, sport is the most media-attentive industry in the world. So what it can do, it can highlight, and that's what I believe in doing, not highlighting problems in sport, for example, racism in sport. I'm not interested in highlighting racism in sport, I'm interested in highlighting racism in life, because that is the biggest problem. And until we get a racism in life, we'll always have it in sport. So sport can use its media attentiveness to then look at other social problems. And that's why I think it's important for sportsmen, not just to talk about their own particular sport and the problems they have in their sport, or what the challenges they face, but use the attention, here we are today, to talk about, which is what you are all involved in, the wider issues of the problems that we actually have. So that's what sport can give you. It can give you a vehicle to show the ills of the world and say, yes, we achieved what we did through hard work, dedication to inspire youngsters, but also make companies and governments aware of the problems and responsibilities they have to the wider society as a whole.
And John, you're right. You have 7 kids, 4 more you have a football team. Boris.
Out of 7 children from 1 wife, because I have a similar situation.
2 wives. Okay. Let's not go there.
No, I believe sport, maybe with music, is the most international language. You follow a sporting team, not because of the religion the players believe in or the color of the skin the players have. It's because you support a team. And speaking to kids all around the world, and the lessons I've learned as a youngster in a very playful world about team ethics, about discipline, about having a goal, about being able to do whatever you can to reach that goal is very important. I'm part of a sports charity called Laureus, and our founding President Nelson Mandela, in his inaugural speech, he, among many beautiful things, said sport has the power to change the world. What Mr. Mandela said, I believe. We as a charity have 150 projects all around the world in 50 countries, and we use sport as a tool for social change. So the money we raise, in those 12 years, we raised about over 60 million euros. We put back into sports projects about sports possibilities for kids that can't afford it, that don't have the means to go to school, that don't have the means because they have the difficult family background to get an education. Sport gives you an education in a cheaper, maybe more honest way, and that's what I stand for. I'm very proud of it. Fantastic. Well done.
As far as we talked this morning about the role sport played in changing South Africa. Do you just want to add a little bit more context to that?
Well, I'm envious because I would like to have had 7 children. That would be good. And I would like to have been a professional sportsman. We were amateurs when we played sport. So your passion for sport is just unadulterated. And I've seen it change because I was in both sides, amateur and then went into professional sport. And see how sometimes the mind shift changes in a team game environment. But you mentioned Mr. Mandela saying the sport has the power to change the world. He also said that sport can awaken hope where there was previously only despair. And that for me is the key to social change. Because sports people are role models. Men and women are role models, and children live up to them. So they would follow them. They would pick a team. We spoke about communities. You follow your community. So if you play for a province here, that's your community. If you play for the country, that's your community. You're really passionate about it. I was always, bemused by the fact that when you run out onto a sports field or walk onto a tennis court, certain people like you, and certain people just don't like you. You've done nothing. You've just walked out. And those people that like you will defend you in every conversation and everything that you've done. And they look up to you. And that comes the power of sport in social change. So role models need to stand up and talk out on bigger issues. And they've got to live that through. And the community will follow that. So if they stand against racism, community they'll see that. If they stand against women abuse and drug abuse, they will see that. And we've got a little sporting competition here, very similar to what happens in America, college sport. And we started with the easiest thing was rugby. And we said, everything we do, we need to have a corporate social investment profile. So, rugby players, we don't wear pink. I decided that pink is going to be the differentiator. So we give the man of the match a pair of pink rugby shorts that he wears the next game. And that pink rugby short is against women and children abuse. They want to wear that pair of shorts because it differentiates them when they run out. But what we do to plug in with that is we send them to the community. So these burly rugby players, we send into impoverished communities, into broken homes where women and children are abused, to do an extreme makeover. They leave changed people, both sides. And then we hand out, for the man of the match, we hand out 50 pink roses. And we ask him, who would you like us to deliver roses to the next day? And the Afrikaners, they're the funniest. I would like 10 to go to my mother, Betty. And we deliver it the next day. And we say to them, open up a door, pull out a chair. And that has just got such a groundswell. Year 1, we did it for cancer research. So the sport has got such a phenomenal power. It's just that I think the sporting bodies need to plug into these things and use it for social change.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Is there's sort of a whole shift going on in the world, the world of business. So business has to be good, be a force for good. Do you think the big sporting events in the world, the sporting bodies are doing enough?
I think just from my point of view, I think that it's never enough. It can never be enough. We should never get to a point where we say that we've done enough. I think there's a lot of work done. If you look in terms of FIFA, the Rugby World Cup, all the major sporting events always have a particular cause to it. And I think that in itself just creates this awareness that we are talking about. And that is great because people feed off it. I think we all look up to sports people. We are all inspired by what they do. So the message that they bring out to us, as well as musicians, I think poets, the messages that they bring out is the message that we hold on to. So I think sports teams and sports events can actually try and do more than what we're doing, but I'm not saying that we can ever do enough.
I think a lot of people
look to sport to be the drivers of this, which, as I said earlier, sport will bring it to the fore from a political agenda, and that's when you have to look at governments and political organizations to take the lead, because all of the problems the majority of problems are we talking about social problems. So, because we talk about the heroes and we talk about role models, people will then look up to you, but there's only so much sport can do. And I think a lot of people are taking a back seat because they assume, and I'll use kick racism out of football as, for example, in England, when everyone's looking to kick it out in England to make a change from a racism point of view. And you may not know what happened, but some of the high-profile players refused to wear the shirt because they felt that enough wasn't being done. Now, there's very little kick it out can do. What it can do, it can highlight the problems. And it can obviously use high-profile players to then make it situations like this and creating an environment for it to be brought to the table, to the agenda. But it has to be from a political and a governmental situation whereby they are the ones who will make the change. We will make it media attentive and very high profile, but real change can only be done by organizations and governments.
I was, we both live in the UK and in London, and we had the Olympics last year. And the diversity and the joy, on a positive note, and the power the Olympic movement has today is so much greater than it had 20 or 30 years ago. Yes, not everything is perfect, and you have to consistently better yourself in the system and such. But we had over 192 countries, or we have 190, then we had 192 countries entering the Olympic Games in a peaceful, playful way, togetherness, it was shown. And that was a strong message. What sport can do is properly organized with the right people behind. No, it's not perfect, but it's much better than where we were.
Yeah, but as well, I think it was a great example when the African Cup was mentioned in 1996. When we saw both races come together, everybody supporting the game. That doesn't end there, but it has sports personalities. We all come from different communities, different societies, and to take what we've learned from the game and take it to the society. Get involved, get in there, join most of. That's what I said earlier. The best thing that had happened to me, that football has given me, is to introduce me to a lot of charity organizations. And I've managed to go to hospitals and see the kids who are sick, who are supporters, who are looking up to these guys as role models, but because of the disabilities, they are able to do that. But it gives them hope, to go out there and just be with them and just talk to them, and touch their hand, because most of them, they believe that we belong in another world. When they watch us, it be like myself, I used to watch the game on TV. And I think things like that, when you come out from the TV and go to them, and that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, for me, my moment, glory was a race that took less than 48 seconds. How do you take that success and make something significant that you can take, create something in return? So I think all top sportsmen also have a responsibility to give something back. The new younger generation, I'm not so sure that that they're doing sport for the same reasons that maybe we started. I think fame is maybe skewing the reasons a little bit, but I hope they realize their responsibility and give something back and take the success and do something significant.
I use that fame for good.
Well, I also think that if we talk about the impact that sport has, I think sport in isolation will not really be able to do what is needed. And that's where you need smart and strategic partnerships, and that's, I think, where the sponsors will also come in. I was hijacked a few years ago, so literally hauled up at the service station, put in the back of a car and drove off. Luckily, the police was efficient and I was fine. But if you ever go into town, I'm sure how many of you have ever been down to downtown Joburg in the middle of the night. It's quite a frightening place. But for example, and why I'm saying this because next week, the 12th, we've got another race. Last year, Nike introduced a race called the Run Free Run Josie, where 10,000 people in the middle of the night all came together in downtown Johannesburg, and we ended up running for 10 kilometers through Joburg, where we we literally took back the streets, because for anyone from South Africa who knows what it's like to go downtown in the middle of the night and how scared you feel, and sometimes, my wife has to go past there, that fear, by taking that back, and that's why I believe the partnerships that's created through business, through government and through sport, that is what will be effective in ensuring that sport gets through the message that is needed.
Sadly, I'm not going to go on and on, but it can't. But one final either piece of advice from each of you to the brilliant young people gathered in, most of whom are not super talented sports people, but who are doing amazing things in different fields. What do you think the lessons that you can impart on them from what you learn from sport? Or, if you want to try and answer the other question, what is it that you would change and use sport to drive positive change in the world? How would you do that?
I think we're unfair to sport. I think sport is already doing that. I think sport is doing a fantastic job in giving people hope. When Spain won the World Cup here in 2010, amidst the economic downturn, they were dancing in the Ramblas for days. It's given them hope. It's given them a sense of togetherness. So sport is doing a lot. I guess the flip side of that is the outliers. So the people that are sitting here that actually stand up and they do something outside of sport, and they use that platform to communicate real issues, and they get stuck in. So I think sport ticks those boxes. Always we want sport to do a little bit more. I saw it here when the Blue Bulls, they were a team from Pretoria, quite a conservative, the Blue Bulls, quite a conservative team. So when the Soccer World Cup came, their stadium was taken up by the Soccer World Cup, and they had to go and play a game in Soweto. Now their supporters would never in their lives have driven into Soweto. Never. They were forced to go into Soweto. They were scared that their cars would be stolen and all these things would happen to them. But their passion for sport drove them into Soweto. And the stories, Ashwin, you can jump in here, was incredible. Where people were sitting on the streets, having a beer, celebrating sport. Where black people and white people were just happy. They were safe. Having a beer because the Blue Bulls actually won, and they won comfortably that day. But those people were changed forever, and maybe we don't give sport enough credit. Those people that went in there, definitely their lives changed and their views changed forever.
Speaking in front of we all the future young global leaders of the world. Whatever you choose, a profession, a passion, is do the unexpected. Somebody told me, 17, have to play a certain way in order to win the greatest tennis tournament in the world. Nobody believed it. That I'm still very stubborn, I'm very single-minded, I believe what I believe in. And I was told wrong many times. Usually I come out on top. So don't follow the herd, don't do what everybody else does. Do the unexpected, do the unusual, think over twice. What is your opponent doing? What is the competition is doing? Do the opposite. Because once everybody does the same, you're not going to get enough success.
Morris was going to give a message to the youngsters, being a father of as many children as he has, and I'm going to do the same thing. Because I always want to speak to children, my own children, other children. And you made a very interesting point, because we can't all be Boris Beckers, the Lucas Davies. We can't all be superstars. You can said about people who may feel they don't have a talent. Now, to get on in life, all you have to do is you have to be prepared, you have to be dedicated, you have to have discipline, you have to have desire. And at the start, the first thing I said is, when youngsters look to professional sportsmen and they see the end product of winning the Wimbledon final, winning the Olympic gold medal, scoring tries, they don't see the preparation that goes into it. Most important thing for children is education, more than anything else, education. And what I say to my children is, when you see the end product, you don't see the work that goes into it. When a child passes an exam, he doesn't pass the exam on the day he takes it. He passes it in the preparation that goes into it. And regardless of your talent, because we all have a talent, to drive that talent, to maximize the potential of that talent, you have to be dedicated, have discipline, and have belief. So I'm going to leave you with we all know the saying, I don't know if you do it, but we have this saying, practice makes it perfect. That's the saying that we have. Terry Beneford, an English coach, who's a very, if I don't know about football, very, very bright coach, he changed that. What he said to me, and this is true, he says practice makes permanent. Practice doesn't make perfect, it makes permanent. So, Boris Becker is going to practice his serves, and he's going to practice his serves every single day, but it's going to be like that. Every day he practices. That doesn't make perfect. That's wrong. That's wrong. Right hand. So the point I'm making is practice doesn't make perfect, but if you don't have correct practice, you will permanently do the wrong things. It makes you permanent. So correct practice. So practice, 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 but correct practice is the most important thing. The messages we give our kids, because if the kids are going to study and they're going to study the wrong things, they're going to fail their exam. So your preparation is the most important thing. We all have a talent, we can all maximize our potential. But what's going to carry you to wherever you want to be, if you want to be a milkman, a footballer, whatever you want to be, is that you have to have that dedication throughout your life. And that's a good message to give your kids.
My message is, after all these years and after playing, I've sort of realized that everyone wants to be successful, whether it is that you're a doctor, you're a lawyer,